You are listening to the MS Power User Podcast. This is the podcast for the Microsoft enthusiast and power user. We discuss the latest news from mspoweruser.com about Microsoft, Windows, Xbox, Surface, all that fun stuff. My name is Vernon E. Smith, and I'm joined as usual by Andy Bennett. Hi, Andy.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
Well,
it is going pretty well. It is relatively late. My daughter is still screaming. Hopefully I can edit that out in the background.
I'm actually not hearing it, so you might not have to.
Okay. Well, you are fortunate. How was your Christmas, Andy?
Oh man, it was really, really nice. How was yours?
It was good, but it was the first time in my 3+ decades of life that I am aware of it raining on Christmas Day.
Well,
and at least, here where I was. And it did not rain a little bit. You don't really have thunderstorms in the winter, okay? But it was like a freaking thunderstorm. It just rained, and it was ridiculous. It was nuts. And obviously, it's like cold around here. And so it pretty quickly turned to the roads are just horrible, and I get that. I mean, everyone has bad roads in the winter. I'm not going to complain, but yeah, we just had straight skating rinks. I mean, it was
so to put it another way, you got Ohio'd.
Okay, I'll go with that. And there are many states that feel many states that feel this way, and it's human nature to feel that we somehow have the worst winter, or we just we're able to brave the worst of it. Everyone moves here because they can stand it here, and no one of lesser substance can even survive here. Like that. That's kind of how human nature. Some people feel that way.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and that's totally fine. I'm not even gonna go further than that. But it was a relatively poor weather Christmas. But other than that, it was pretty good. At my new house, we're still knee deep, elbow deep, waist deep, whatever you want to call it, neck deep in renovation here, and we won't be finished with that anytime soon.
I've been doing a little renovating of my own, which started off with something I got as a Christmas gift, kind of for myself. I picked up one of those indoor HD antennas. I'm not 100% sure if I mentioned it on here before or not.
I don't think you mentioned it on the podcast.
Okay. Well, so I got that set up, and it came with an amplifier to boost it up to a 50-mile range, which was necessary to pick anything up, but wow. I set that up with a spare TV we got, and those two together just propped them up in my room, cleared some stuff out to make some space, and got it all set up, and it's like, I did not know how nice it was to have a TV in your room in the morning and just turn it on and look at Good Morning America or Today, or even just a dedicated channel for the weather, because we have one of those around here. And it's I did not know how nice or convenient this was.
Nice. Well, I hadn't really even planned on mentioning this, but we had, we actually put a television in our bedroom, which has never happened, and it goes very strongly against many mentalities or thoughts I have on the subject. But it went there because the living room and dining room wasn't ready yet, and of course the children needed to watch their Netflix to maintain sanity, or I should say, the parents needed to maintain sanity, but with the children watching Netflix. And so that's just. I need a new router. I just end up, wired connection was close enough, and whatever. We actually have a television just kind of propped up in the corner of our not propped up, but anyway, not set up permanently in the bedroom. And we did watch a couple movies in there. It was rather nice. Maybe I'll mention more about movies later in the episode. But yeah, so
this time folks, it's probably not Die Hard, at least.
It will not. Well, you know what? I think it was actually going to be on my list to mention Die Hard, but we already mentioned it. We don't need to mention it again.
So
listeners, Listeners, this is episode 28 of MS Power User Podcast. Last episode was part 1 of our, I guess, what do we want to call it? Year in recap or something like that?
Last week was the year in review. I'll think up a nice and witty title for this week, except it's probably not going to be witty at all, let's be honest.
It'll be fine, Andy. But basically, we kind of knew what we wanted to end up with, but we needed to find a way to get there. And so we ended up, it was Andy's idea, to just list our top 5 Microsofty things of the year. Now, there are plenty of other lists out there, and these we threw together in, let's see, we started maybe 14 minutes ago? No, longer than that. 20-some minutes ago.
Quick, quit. You're going to get us fired.
Well, this is something that we think about all week long.
Yeah, I've
put it together.
had this one brewing for a while. Like originally, when I was thinking about what we would do last week, it was like, now do we do a top 5 highs and top 5 lows? And it's like, I'm not sure how we would handle some of that. Like, I couldn't really think of enough lows big enough that were really a new thing.
Mm-hmm. I think the way I put this together was just things that set 2016 apart, perhaps. But anyway,
we're kind of going really ending the year on a high note. Instead, we're just going over our favorite things as opposed to anything negative. We're just going to talk about what we consider the best Microsoft moments of the year.
Because the holidays, everyone should be happy or something. So
something like that.
All right, well, let's fire it up. Andy, why don't you start us off with the first of your top 5?
Right. And just to clarify, we'll alternate back and forth here. So, I guess it's time to get started here with my number 1, or rather, just to be clear here, this is just the first. It's not like this is in any particular order. For me, for my list at least, I just picked out five moments I like. It's in no consecutive order. But first one on that list would be the Xbox One's sales spree, as I like to put it, where in August, after the launch of the Xbox One S, the Xbox One dominated the sales charts right up until November. And so it's kind of fun to look at because the Xbox One has been considered the underdog when it comes to sales in the silly little console war that still goes on, despite the fact that so much has changed, especially with games becoming more multi-platform than anything now. And yet we still have a fight going on between people who want to say that their console is better than somebody else's console. And I don't get it, but it's still really cool from a market perspective to look at the Xbox One and see, all right, this revised model is totally pushes it up to the top of the charts, and it dominates for months and all consecutive months, mind you, when for just absolute years it has been crushed in sales. And it's not like it sold low, rather that the opponent sold higher. And so you had August, September, and October, 3 months right there, where the Xbox One S was at, or rather, I forget if they clarified if it was the One S specifically, but I think it was just Xbox One, where everyone would look at it and know, the One S is obviously what pushed it up when you look at when things started to go higher and higher. And the Xbox One S, we'll talk about it a bit later on, but it is just a fantastic system. So, I guess that kind of ends my first moment. I thought I'd have a bit more to talk about there, but
Well, the first one that came to my mind, and mostly because it is recent, is Windows 10 on ARM. And of course, I'm not the best one to dig into this very, to a very deep technical level, but it's very obvious that what it's going to accomplish, what Microsoft thinks it's going to accomplish, what they're telling us, is huge. It is so huge. Not only just the competition that's going to happen between Qualcomm and Intel, for example, which could be, it won't be huge initially, but I think it's really going to change the dynamic of that market and that competition there and how that works. But obviously what it can accomplish for Windows, having just simply to have, to be able to do a lot of Windows stuff with a cellular connection. I mean, to make that part easy.
Yeah,
and not just a cellular.
Called it, a cellular PC, which that seems like it's going to be another device category, and I want to see how that turns out.
Yeah. And I guess, to be honest, I think cellular may be an outdated term. It may not actually be cellular, but I mean, LTE or digital, let's just call it non-Wi-Fi, whatever that is, connected to the tower instead of the router. And that can really change things, obviously, but also everything that has to go into that to make that happen. Obviously, you need to have good power, wise power consumption engineered into there. And that is important. And obviously, I keep saying obviously, I'm sorry. You have to also have, kind of lost my train of thought, but anyway, it's a big deal.
Device to go along with the hardware.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It's not like we're just going to instantly go and start plopping ARM64 processors right into our daily driver. Of course, so we're going to see new devices just for this. We're going to see potentially a new class of devices just for this. And when we discussed the initial idea of cellular PC, possibly the biggest thing from it, for me at least, is that you're now going to be able to have PCs where you are running them off a cellular data connection, which, depending on your carrier or the available carriers for this, who knows if new ones will pop up, it means you're suddenly able to bypass shoddy infrastructure in your area and start getting a significantly better, or even maybe for the first time, internet connection right in your home. And that's something to think about with the United States, especially because, or rather, not just the United States, but also some developing nations as well. But I think about the United States and the situation where in a lot of rural areas, like, for example, when you say internet connectivity in the United States, you think, well, obviously, it's a big first world country, it's all got to be good. Not necessarily. There are tons and tons of rural areas, especially as you head down south, where the internet connections available just start getting worse and worse and worse. Throughout all of it, you've usually got a pretty good data connection from what I've seen, but if you're going with wired internet through, say, a dedicated internet service provider or a cable provider, that's where things start to get pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. The connectivity portion of this is just one aspect of it, but to add to what you're saying, Andy, Microsoft is skipping that step where they're waiting. They want to get. There's still people out there who don't necessarily have the connection, a great connection, and instead of just waiting for the wires to get there, they're just skipping it. The same thing with cellular carriers, cellular again. It's so much easier to just put up a tower that can reach out there instead of having to run wire to every home. And the price is getting to the point where it can be more worth it. Obviously, it's price gouged and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to dig it. I should stop digging deeper into this. But Windows on ARM is a big deal. But one of the main reasons for that, of course, is it is showing a glimpse of what the future of Windows Mobile could be. And the beginning of this year, 2016, was really, I don't want to say quite the beginning. The middle of 2016 was really pretty crappy for Windows Mobile. It was really pretty sad and discouraging, and it just wasn't, we just weren't excited about it. And that is changing mostly because of, one of the main reasons is because of this Windows 10 on ARM, what we could see happen with Windows 10 Mobile. And of course, the rumors, which we basically, I feel very strongly about now, the Surface quote-unquote phone, which will not be called phone, I feel, it'll be mobile or Surface something. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what Microsoft comes up with. And after everything I've learned this year tells me that the Surface mobile device will not just be with a kickstand or something. It's going to be that next level. It's going to define another category or create another category, and I cannot wait for it. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I think we'll probably talk about this on a separate episode, kind of like what we hope or what we predict that this device will be when it comes around. But
Even more exciting is if we're talking about it in an episode, because there's actual news about it, and I cannot wait for that personally.
Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, that's Windows 10 on ARM. Big deal in many ways. And even though it is rather recent, it is probably one of the biggest things of the year.
Oh, for sure. And it is worth noting, really, that this is something that's currently able to run just 32-bit apps, and I do want to see if down the road we start to see more compatibility, and maybe even see compatibility with 64-bit applications on stuff like this. I mean, if it's even technically possible, I just want to see this stuff happen, and I am excited to see where it goes. Technically, this would go on my top 5 list as well, but Vernon's.
I wrote it down quicker.
Yeah, in the early planning stages, Vernon just steals it from me in the OneNote, even though I didn't write it down there at all. So, I don't know. There's some kind of gag to be made here.
All right. Well, what do you got next, Andy?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, also, kind of talking about Windows Mobile. This case, actually, Windows Mobile. This kind of ties into Vernon's next item as well, because his next. Oh wait, no, I got my order mixed up, but so yeah, Vernon also has a phone.
Okay, Andy.
Okay.
Because I have more than a decade of age on you, wisdom fell into place here, where I numbered mine, not because they were in order, but because I knew when to stop, and so. I don't know if you have yours. Did you get 5?
Well, yeah. I've got 5. It's like
there you go. All right.
Did you reorder some of your items there? Because I thought.
I did reorder them a little bit.
Okay,
sorry.
then that explains it.
I think you could jump to your last one. I feel that it does. Well, it's up to you.
But... Yeah. Okay, then I guess completely live, change in switcheroony. Where now I'm going to talk about the Windows 10 Anniversary Update instead of a phone that runs the Windows 10 Anniversary Update. So we apologize for the technical difficulties.
Nope, it's fine.
All right,
go for it. I think it's still pretty. I think it's still pretty top
right.
Thing of the year.
Yeah, but yeah, spoiler alert: Windows 10 Anniversary Update happened. It's honestly, I think with every update to a service, we get to look at it and go, yeah, this is what it should have been when it launched, because it contains so many enhancements, and yeah, the Windows 10 Anniversary Update is what Windows 10 should have been when it launched. I'm going to probably be able to say the same thing about the Creators Update and anything after it, partially because I felt that the initial launch of Windows 10 left much to be desired, but hey, whatever. They have definitely fixed so many of the issues that happened with Threshold 1. And the Windows 10 Anniversary Update just does so much good. Aside from the fact that it just really revamped and refined the start menu, which I was really skeptical when this was first announced, because they basically removed that one click to get to the All Apps list. So now when you open the start menu, of course, this is how it's been for a few months, of course, but you open up the start menu, and it's just a list of every app with, at the top, you've got a recently added list and a most used list. And honestly, I was not really sure how I felt about it. And then I started to get to actually using it. And as soon as it's really funny how when you look at something on paper, you're like, oh man, this is crappy. But once you get to using all of that, you realize just how much better it is. There's no longer any... They removed just one simple click removed, and instantly it is just so much faster. It's amazing. I just click the start menu and start scrolling to get to what I want, or even just click on a letter to get to that jump list there, and it's just really, really nice. And it's probably my most unexpected thing that I like about it, I guess. And Vernon, how do you feel about the start menu changes there?
I don't know, maybe just because I was so used to it before. The start menu itself didn't really do as much for me, the changes. But overall, I'm happy with the anniversary update. I'm fine with it, but just not whatever. My next
we're not done. We're not done yet. But,
you got other. You go.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And that was just one of the big changes there. Some of the other ones included a ton of refinements across the operating system, specifically with modern apps like the Settings app. Like, the Settings app, it was already pretty good, I thought, but there were still areas of the design that left a lot to be desired. Even after Threshold 2, there were areas that just felt clunky. They looked really bad, like the design they had going there with all the grays just didn't really have much life to it. And as time goes on, it is getting changed up more and more, even in recent Creators Update builds, where there's more life being pushed into it. But Redstone 1, or the Anniversary Update, as most call it, of course, was where that started. And it's much brighter than it was before. You've got the title bar color finally back where it belongs. You've got a slightly changed up start page where the search bar is centered, and I still don't know how I feel about that. But regardless, that specifically was one thing that stuck out to me. And then there were other changes which, of course, could be accessed through settings, such as dark theme coming in completely, where you're able to start setting modern apps to dark modes or just leave it at light mode as default. And then more customization options got added to go along with that, because as it stands, if you choose, or as it stood, if you chose not to show color, so you would get a dark mode taskbar, start menu, etc., you would have solid white title bars, which was pretty weird. With the Anniversary Update, they made settings a bit more segmented, so you could choose, okay, don't show any color on the start menu, etc., but leave the color on the title bars, or vice versa. We still don't have any true black title bars, with the exception of modern apps that have, dark theme mode with that, but still, step in the right direction, and I do like that.
If I was asked quickly to come up with my favorite feature of 2016, it would be dark theme as default, or to be more, and that's so superficial and just UI type thing. But I just being a fan of it for so long, I'm very, very happy that they're continuing to push that out further and further. And it was really cool to see them add dark theme into Outlook, even big Outlook on desktop. I saw that at Ignite that some of that was getting previewed, so that was really cool, and it's starting to, different portions of that are getting rolled out on Office Insider. But
if there was one thing that I would change about it, though, I really do wish that there was an option to schedule dark mode. Because, I don't want to use it in the daytime, but at night, for sure, I definitely want to have everything just auto-kick into dark mode. So it would be... I've wanted something like that since the Windows 7 days, where I wanted to have a theme scheduled to change at certain times. So, we'll see what the future holds. And
that seems like a pretty simple thing to implement.
It does.
Yeah.
But, I guess I'm the only one who wants it. And one other big change, because I don't want to forget this one, of course, was that the Windows 10 Anniversary Update, it brought in, it was the first update with Edge extensions, which Edge desperately needed at launch, and I really don't feel that it should have launched without them, but I guess it's a story for another day. And then it also, even bigger, Project Centennial apps began showing up in the store. These are Win32 apps that are converted to take advantage of some modern app features, such as, for example, they can have live tiles, they can have actionable notifications, and they can be installed from the Windows Store with one click and uninstalled from your Start menu with just 2 clicks. Or actually 3, rather, because there is a confirmation dialog, but regardless, it's nice. And I think Evernote was the very first app to become available with this, and of course later ones are still pouring in, including Tweetin, a TweetDeck client developed by our very own Mahidi Hassan, and you can pick that up right up in the Windows Store, completely free. Hint, hint.
My number 2 top, and it's not number 2, but it's still top one. my number one thing, Microsoft thing of the year, is the Creators Update, really to mirror or to complement Andy's anniversary update. Creators Update obviously is not available yet. It was announced in New York when they launched the Surface Studio. But Creators Update, first of all, I love I said this last week. I'm not going to add to it, but I just love that they named it that and the kind of who they're targeting with it. But I love that they're just kind of having fun with it. A lot of good stuff in there. I'm not going to hit all those things, but they added in the inking area. They obviously added the cool game streaming stuff, which was fantastic to see. Even for someone who doesn't game, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, even from kind of a non-gaming side, it's the fact that they're actually doing something with a service they bought, which
that is good. Nice to see them using Beam, or at least aspects of it. The 3D stuff that they rolled out was fantastic. Love to see all that, and not only in the as far as apps or built into the operating system, but also the web backend, the services that they built just for the web, which you could access right away. That was really interesting. And even Outlook, and I talk about it maybe too much, but that was some of the few little things they added to that, but especially I suppose they talked about that at Ignite too. That's where I've found out most of the not insider stuff, but the new things coming to Outlook, which we can imagine would come around the time the Creators Update is available.
Yeah, and some of the other stuff that's going to be with the Creators Update, there's been a lot of news, relatively a lot of news dropping about it over this past week, which surprises me. But not only did we see a leak of a build, which I think that the public leak actually happened about Christmas, and since then there's been a lot of stuff discovered in it. One of the big things was that blue light mode, which was previously mentioned, is in there, and it's kind of similar to what I wanted, as it makes everything on your screen way, way, way easier to read in the dark. And it does that by turning the whites on your screen. You're going to start seeing them turn kind of orangey, and this is something that's already implemented in either through a lot of third-party services, or even if you've got, like, for example, I believe Google Play Books on Android has that setting turned on by default, where all the whites start turning to orange, and it's so much easier on your eyes at night, even if it does look weird at first. It takes a little while to adjust to. Looks pretty good. And then there's also stuff like new Cortana commands coming in, which that Lucas posted that earlier today, and I don't exactly have it memorized, but just check the site for that, I guess, because my internet connection's being a little goofy, but
there's tons of awesome stuff in Creators Update.
There's
it's all getting
so
leaked,
much, and
going to
it's
get previewed,
so much
coming out to Fast Ring.
And speaking of previews on the Fast Ring, one of the other things that showed up is that the blue screen of death for the Insider Preview builds is going to be changed to green. And this was teased by a Microsoft employee on Twitter, where he said, "Hey, look at all the stuff in the build. Well, there is one thing you're missing out on. Here's a hint: green." And so Chris123NT managed to find out that there was in fact a green screen of death, and the Microsoft employee who, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry I cannot remember your name, and I really do have trouble pronouncing it anyway, so please, please, please forgive me, but he went on to confirm that it would just be for Insider Preview builds, not like they're changing this for all of Windows. And I think it's neat. Kind of an interesting thing when you think about what the potential reasoning behind it is. And I think it's just to show that if someone puts up a picture on Twitter saying, "Oh man, I'm having all these Windows 10 issues," well then someone's able to look at that and go, okay, it's a green screen, meaning that you are running preview builds, meaning that not only is this something we can send to the Windows team, like I'm sure they've got support bots looking around Twitter for pictures or tweets about someone who said they had a computer crash. Well, they get to look at that error, and this is kind of an extra step to getting information about issues, where they get to look at that error on that image, and then they see from the green that this was on a preview build. And they obviously take whatever error code was there into account. There's so many layers to it, I think.
I see how that could have been a wise choice for so people could recognize the difference and they can follow up on, oh, we have an issue here. But they have that telemetry anyway. They have it. If it's an insider build and it reboots or they have an issue, it goes back to Microsoft anyway, as long as people opt into it.
That is true.
Or I think it's already. I think they would have to opt out actually for insider.
There is no opting out anymore. I don't think.
I forget which layer you can do that at. Maybe it's in the enterprise versions.
Yeah,
whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's enterprise where you're able to back out of most stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have anything you wanted to add to Creators Update? I mean, there's plenty. My point was that it's coming and there's awesome stuff, and we're just,
yeah.
Hey,
2017 is going to be an interesting year for Windows, specifically build next year, and I'm excited to see stuff there. Like, for example, we're expecting Project Neon, the new design language, for an update past the Creators Update to show up there, and I cannot wait to see what it looks like.
It's interesting. It's going to be in Seattle this year too.
Oh yeah. Although I was kind of surprised previously that it wasn't closer to home for Microsoft then. Like you would kind of think from the start it would be.
Well, they had another conference that they do at Microsoft in Redmond, which I forget. Obviously, the MVP Summit is there. There's something else. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, but they said Seattle instead of Redmond, so it wouldn't be on campus, as I understand. I haven't looked at the invite.
It's closer, though.
Yeah.
Way closer.
Anyway, let's keep moving. We're already halfway through the show here. Andy, what are we on here?
Well, we're on the third, so this means it's time to talk about phones, which I thought was the second. And anyways, I guess I'll go first with the Alcatel Idol 4S with Windows 10. This phone is available in two variants. There is an Android variant and a Windows variant, which of course the latter is what we care about here. And I got to review this device, and it is just an absolutely fantastic phone. I didn't quite know what to expect going in, and I was just blown away, to be honest. An incredibly fast little device, absolutely excellent hardware design, feels great to hold, and there's just so much about it that I like. It is also, of course, the first Windows phone with official VR support built in there. Even if I didn't feel that the virtual reality side of it was too good, it's certainly, it's certainly interesting at least.
It certainly was a surprise. Not that we didn't think it was possible, but I really wasn't expecting Microsoft to add that in to really.
Well, it wasn't Microsoft. It was totally on Alcatel, and it was a great move by them, I think, to just have complete parity between the two versions of the device. So if you bought it with Android, you get the VR headset, and if you bought it with Windows on it, you aren't left out in the cold. And that's dedication to their consumers, which I really appreciate that. And it's just a great consumer-focused Windows phone, and I can recommend it highly. And now Vernon gets to talk about a phone on the other end of the Windows spectrum.
Most everyone can guess what I'm talking about if it's an enterprise-focused Windows mobile device. And that's the HP Elite X3. This thing is a beast. It really is, and a beast in a good way. It's spec'd out, obviously, a large device, really nice hardware, feels great. There's just a lot to it, and they're calling it a 3-in-1. And I think that is fair. I don't think that's overselling it. I think that is a good way to look at it. Continuum is not perfect, but it does not need to be perfect because it is filling a gap. It's doing not necessarily a gap. It's creating not creating a gap. It's It's a new thing. We could not really do this before, and Continuum isn't new to this year, obviously. But it's something that was really. It was so awesome to see HP really put some marketing power behind this. They obviously believe in this. Whether they're going to be profitable with it, it's really tough for me to feel confident in that. But this is obviously the beginning of what HP is going to be doing. This is more of the more mobile computing, and I think that's along with Windows 10 on ARM, really. But I think that's great. And so HP is really like setting the pace, and they were definitely giving us a clue into what I think is coming with, Surface Phone or whatever we're going to have coming up. So HP Elite X3 was my number 3, if we're counting.
Yep. And, yeah. The X3 really does interest me. Because, like, from a design standpoint, it's another really interesting Windows Phone. I mean, like, they've got that speaker bar on the bottom. And it just overall...
It isn't quite a bar, but it looks like it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to toy with one in person, partially because Verizon is the only carrier around here where you will find any stores. So it's like it's not like I'm able to walk into an AT&T store and pick up the phone and play with it. I mean, even if there was an AT&T store around here, I am pretty sure that they wouldn't even have that thing as a demo unit, just because of how small this town is. But regardless, it is a very cool looking device design-wise, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, my throat skinned me. Alright, so yeah, I guess it's my turn to move on to the next item, which that would be both the Xbox One S and the Xbox One August update that went along with it. Since they launched on basically the same day, I guess I get to compress them into one item here, which the Xbox One S is, of course, the slim Xbox One, is about 40% smaller according to Microsoft, and it just looks so good. It took what was originally an honestly really dull hardware design and ended up turning it into almost this piece of art. It's very boxy, you've got sharp edges, pure white if you get the normal model, and just everything about it is simultaneously stylish and functional. Like, one of the things that blew me away when I first looked at it was that there is the design of it, it's like they're kind of like perforated design. Well, if you look at it on the top, that perforation is a vent. And it is the most well-hidden vent in history, let me tell you. When you first look at it, you don't look at it and go, oh, this is something for function. You think it is just something, of course, purely designed. But no. They managed to just combine the best of both worlds there. And I am infinitely impressed with how the hardware looks and feels. I mean, I'd go as far to say it is the best looking console ever made, and arguably best design as well. So, sorry Nintendo GameCube, you kind of got beaten in that area. Although I'll forever appreciate having just all that compressed into one little box. And then the August update, the software side that goes along with that kind of brought the Xbox in line with other Windows products. Because like you had, for Universal Apps, you have HoloLens, you have Windows Desktop, of course, you have Windows 10 Mobile, and then, of course, the Surface Hub as well. But then the Xbox One was missing out on that. You would still have to design traditional Xbox apps, and that was how everything was done. Well, then the August update comes along, and suddenly, universal Windows apps are running right there on the Xbox One. I don't really feel as if it's been used to its fullest potential yet by developers, as a lot of stuff still feels like it was made for mouse and keyboard, and that doesn't transition too great over to an Xbox controller, but it's early and it's life, so I can give that area a bit of a pass, as I really do believe that developers will improve over time, of course. It also brought a brand new Xbox dashboard, which totally ditched the Windows 8 styled one and went with a much more vertical look to go along with Windows 10 really being more vertical in general on all other platforms. And just in general, everything I feel was an improvement. Some of it may not look as good as some of the Windows 8 areas, I believe, but when it comes to actual function, it is definitely an improvement.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go with one that's more personal. I was able to go to New York for the launch event for what we were calling the Surface Devices event. And it ended up being, technically it was devices, but the big device was the Surface Studio. It was an awesome device, obviously. It was a really cool launch. It was a lot of fun. There were many, many things at that launch, including the creator's update and everything. Surface Dial, the performance-based Surface Book. Lots of fun. But I would say that one of my favorite moments of that was, or a few minutes, was chatting with Panos Panay a little bit about primarily nothing. It was kind of the marketing and the sort of the how things get leaked, or what we think think things are and what they end up being. But then also it was interesting. We had a few of us lined up in the press area, and most of us were using Surface devices, and there were a couple using Apple. Let's see, like a MacBook Pro or Air or something. And he went down the line and he skipped over the Apple folks, and then he tapped on each of our Surface, saying nice device, nice device, nice device, or whatever. That was kind of a cute little thing. That was kind of funny. But that whole event was pretty awesome. And of course, getting to hands-on with those devices was pretty amazing. Yeah. Another really cool part about the Microsoft community is the community. It's so great to do. The
community is the great part about itself, I guess.
But I mean, like I should say that Microsoft ecosystem has such a strong community, or at least I feel that way. I'm really fortunate to know a few pretty awesome people in the community, and I had a great time meeting up with some folks at the launch event. So Richard Hay, I'm not going to list off where you know these people from, but you should know these people. Richard Hay, Lisa Smizer, who works with Rich Woods, Lenny Bonds, Daniel Rubino, Mark Gwim, Adam Lane, Mauro Herculec, Jaime Rivera. Not all these guys are specific or right on just with Microsoft stuff, but these are folks in this community, which I had great conversations with all these folks. It was really, really awesome to feel that sense of community, really, and to just have real conversations with people. And there were some people in that list which I didn't think I would have very genuine conversations with, and I was very surprised. Not necessarily surprised. I was very happy with the result, knowing that these people are real. That they're how do I say this? They're
starstruck.
That's the thing. A little bit less of that, actually. Like it was great to have real conversations with folks, not just about, oh well, yeah, this version, the fast ring has this feature. It was more about. I just remember talking about Jaime about New York and what it's like now that he just moved here from South America. I forget which city it was, but just about real life things and about raising a daughter similar, in the same age range as my daughter, and also talking about how it just hitting the grind, how he's been doing his videos like every year, several times a week for years. Things like that was pretty cool. Things like that was awesome. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that too much, but I had a great time in New York.
That sounds like a great time.
It was fun, and that sense of community grew, and I really wish I had more time to be deeper in the community. But anyway, I digress, and I do not say that too often. So.
Yep. So now it moves on to this is the last item on my list, because let's see. So far we have covered the Xbox One sales, the Alcatel Idol 4S, the Xbox One S / Xbox One August update, and the Windows 10 anniversary update. Now, one of the final item is one of the biggest keystones of Microsoft's gaming strategy now: Xbox Play Anywhere. Xbox Play Anywhere was announced at E3 this year, and it's a buy one, get the same item you got, except it's on two different programs type of platform, or type of program, where if you digitally purchase or purchase a digital version of a game in the Windows Store or on the Xbox One, there is a chance, if it's one of the participating games such as Forza Horizon 3, ReCore, Gears of War 4, or I feel like I'm forgetting something. Excuse me, but Astroneer, that's another one that just recently joined in. You will get both the Windows 10 and the Xbox One version. And this is something that not only gives, it gives Xbox One owners a chance to check out gaming on Windows 10 and see how that is. It also is just, really, really nice. This is something that's not exactly new. It is for Microsoft. There's been a couple other attempts throughout various companies to try it out. And I really do feel like Microsoft is doing it the best, though, as opposed to having just simple redeem codes that come with certain products. No, you instantly get it on both platforms if you just purchase it digitally, and it's as easy as that, and I love that idea. Wow. I'm going to have to drink some water after this tonight, but it's cross-buy, it's good for the consumer, and I'm often stuck looking at games on multiple platforms, and I think, well, why do I have to buy it twice? And I'm annoyed by that, and I end up often buying it twice anyways. And this just gets around that. It's a shame that it isn't applied to physical copies, but honestly, it would be tough to handle that anyways, so yeah. Things are good.
Yes. Well, we do have a little bit of time left in the episode, and we don't want to just stuff it full of filler. But I do have two more things I could add to this. And one is strictly Microsoft-based, very from the corporate side of it. We forgot to mention LinkedIn. LinkedIn was still just huge. Obviously, one of the very biggest acquisitions of the year anywhere. I don't really know where it might have ranked in that. And of course, it hasn't officially happened, but I mean, it's definitely a 2016 thing. Microsoft buying LinkedIn is just huge on many levels. We talked about it last episode, and we've talked about it before, but I think that definitely earns a spot on our list, even though we kind of threw it together quickly. But it's worth mentioning. Do you have anything else to add right now, Andy? I do have one more thing we could.
When it comes to LinkedIn, the only thing I can do is an obligatory mention of $26 billion, but my voice isn't in the condition where I can do that right now in the voice I'm thinking of.
Okay. Well, one personal note that is Microsoft related. I've noticed that this year I finally began purchasing digital movies. Okay. Now this isn't. There's plenty of people who've been doing this well before I have, and that I understand that. But this has been when I've begun that transition, and for a couple of reasons, it's just nice to have it available. Also, I end up traveling a bit more this year for my regular job, and also a couple things for the site. But I was just buying those movies, or really cheap, very cheap, I should say, and that would be something I could watch anywhere. And it's not new, okay, but it's new for me, relatively new for me. And I found also the pricing has been getting better on some of these things, and I'm finding that I'm starting to build my collection. It's just interesting how that is shifting for me, and it is definitely Microsoft based, but it's mostly like the consumer space, kind of the whole atmosphere. Think of it as a few years ago, the concept of having your Xbox required to be connected to the internet being so foreign and intrusive. And now it's almost just the way you would do it. Like, why would you not?
A required internet connection for the Xbox, at least, that was actually still seen as pretty intrusive, and Microsoft had to totally scrap a lot of the original plans for it that were built around always online connectivity because of that. So, I mean, I get for the movie side what you're talking about, but it is still definitely a hotly contested issue in the gaming space, at least.
Mm-hmm. So, but that's an example of how the mentality, the focus that people have on it, and their acceptance to something new, even if it really isn't bad at all, takes time. Just as an example, there are plenty of things that we just, change is bad.
I still have to deal with a data cap, so when it comes to always being online, there's a lot of issues there. So that's kind of interesting though, because it all honestly really depends on your data plan for that issue. I'm kind of getting sidetracked there, but it's definitely not a change is bad thing for most people, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add for the episode, or we will finish up early?
We got our recommendations to do, which you have movies that may or may not be Die Hard, because we got to have a 3-episode long streak.
Oh, I actually missed my very last... Oh, wow, I didn't get to number 5, actually.
Oh.
Wow, I skipped that somehow.
All right, okay, so you do that, and then we'll do the recommendations.
Yeah, well...
Because I'm probably gonna be mute within 10 minutes at this rate.
Okay, all right. My Lumia 950. I've had it over a year. That is news in itself. For people who know me, and not that I buy phones as quickly as many enthusiasts out there, but it's been years. Like decade since I've had used a phone for longer than a year, and so I've had it, I think, 13 months now. That's a record, and it's twofold. Microsoft or Windows Phone enthusiasts will know that the offerings haven't been real. They've been relatively sparse. We've had some decent phones this year, we really have, but we didn't even talk about that, Andy. We forgot to talk about that. We
mentioned the Alcatel and the Elite X3, which I think covers the two best.
Yeah, but last episode I plugged in a whole list of these that we didn't cover. Oh, man. All right, but I'm going to run down this list quick. The HP Elite X3, the SoftBank 503LV. I dare you to remember that off the top of your head. Anything about that, because I don't. The Koshep Molly X1, Nuance Neo, the Wharton Brooks Cerulean Mobile, whatever phone. They didn't release it, obviously. They didn't release it, but that whole thing happened, and that was weird. Yeah, the Alcatel Idol. Yeah, Alcatel Idol 4S, obviously. Acer Liquid Jade Primo, good device, and we heard relatively a lot about that. We did not hear very much about the Acer Liquid M330, although there's a chance that came out at the end of 2015. I don't remember. And then there were two blue phones, the Blue Win HD and the Win Junior. Actually, I'm pretty certain those did come out in 2015, not 16. But that's a list. Those are examples of the phones that you could get if you're a Windows Phone enthusiast this year, 2016, and they are ample. And I'm not going to say they're awesome devices. Some of them are. And I forget about these. I forget about these phones because as a Windows Phone enthusiast, I've been focused on what it's like, the Lumia line, or even HTC and Samsung back in the very early days, where you knew this was going to be the phone you wanted. And of course the Microsoft phones now. And so it's interesting how that's happened. I did have opportunity to get different phones, but I just was not as compelled this year. The Lumia 950 had issues to begin with, but I would say that without a doubt it has gotten better. And that's very rare with a smartphone, especially if you're Andy. I'm not going to lay into your Samsung, but many people using Samsungs traditionally and currently, the honeymoon period wears off pretty quick. So I'm still pretty happy with my 950. It's not perfect. There are things I would like to improve upon it. Lately, the battery has been starting to a little bit. But that's where I'll end it. I'm happy with my 950, but I am looking forward to something else to play with soon, or I don't know, coming up here eventually.
I'm going to ship him a Note 7.
Yeah. I don't think I won't let it pass through my security.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would stop that one right in the mail now.
Yeah, I think so.
Now that we're at the end, I'm going to talk about an app recommendation, because this is kind of like we're going to recommend one item for your Windows ecosystem device of non-specified nature, be it an app or a movie, hint, hint. And my recommendation, just as a nice end-of-year recommendation for an app, even if I've recommended it on the show before, is Tweet It, a Twitter client for Windows 10 and Windows 10 Mobile. It is just excellent. I've gotten back into using it a bit more lately. Like I got stuck in a little slump where I was just being a little lazy and going to the web version of Twitter or TweetDeck at times, and I've been kind of moved back into this lately, and it's just excellent. It's gotten better with every single update, which is kind of expected, but I just like it a lot, and it just easily. Absolutely easily the best Twitter client you can get on your Windows 10 device right now, I think. So, that's the end of my stuff, and also the end of my voice. Oh, man.
Okay. Well, I will list just a couple movies which I thought were pretty awesome. Some of them have been awesome for quite some time. I'll start with Saving Private Ryan. Folks, Andy, please tell me you've seen this movie, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, that's awesome. You are an incredible person.
Unforgiven is a close second.
That's very good. That's very good. But Saving Private Ryan is great for so many reasons. I like war. I like World War II, and it's horrible to say that, right? But I guess I'm that way.
Well, it's easily one of the most interesting settings for movies, I think. I mean, there's obviously millions upon or hundreds of thousands or whatever movies set in World War II, but if they do it right, there is just so much potential that they can use, and Saving Private Ryan just took all of that potential and used every single bit of it, I think.
Yeah. And it was really nice to see all the people that were in that movie. Some of my favorite actors, which when I think back on it, became my favorite actors because of this movie. But Adam Goldberg, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, like those guys, people kind of forget about. Ed Burns was really big back at that time, and he kind of fell off. It's interesting. Vin Diesel, Tom Sizemore, people forget that these guys were in there, and just whatever. It's a great movie, and of course Tom Hanks just kills it. He's just awesome. Very, very good movie, and I don't need to say any more about that one. John Wick, that was my first digital download, like thing that I owned. I felt I might as well start purchasing movies. And John Wick is definitely Keanu Reeves' comeback movie. I'm very happy with it. Watched it many times so far. It's very good. Speaking of that, though, speaking of Keanu Reeves, I forget what, I'm not exactly sure on the name of it. The Man of Tai Chi. Now I got to look it up. Man of Tai Chi. I think
while he looks it up, I'm going to do an obligatory Die Hard plug. We've wrecked on the show for the past 3 episodes, so please, even if Christmas is over, you still have time to watch Die Hard.
Yeah.
Every single day, there are people out there who don't watch Die Hard and haven't watched Die Hard, and they keep going on, despite the fact they haven't watched Die Hard.
Yeah, it is called.
Pretend I'm on one of those commercials where they got like the sad puppies in the cages, and you got that lady in the background saying, "There's gonna be an angel for you."
I totally lost all. I have no idea. So, Man of Tai Chi is the name of that other movie. That's pretty awesome by Keanu Reeves, but nevertheless, I would add one more here. The Departed, an awesome movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is always great. Of course, Jack Nicholson, awesome. There's plenty of good people in this show. Check it out. Departed, if you haven't seen it already. I'll throw in one more here. No Country for Old Men. That's a weird movie, okay? It's not super weird, but it's weird that you probably don't always want to necessarily have your girlfriend watch it with you, because she will probably be freaked out. At least my wife does not like that movie. It frightens her, and I understand that. It's not a horror movie. It's whatever. Go watch it if you dare. No Country for Old Men. That's all I'm going to add as far as movie picks. What else do you have, Andy? Want to add to it?
Nothing I can really add right now, I think. Although I will say that when it comes to something on the show side, I just want to say that it feels weird that this is our last episode for 2016.
That's true.
It's just...
I feel it is fitting that we thank substantially Sarer especially for the chance to do this. This has been awesome. So if you only listen to the podcast, and I know a few people who do that, but almost everyone is from the site. So many of our listeners came from the site and latched onto the podcast. We appreciate that. That's awesome. Welcome, or all that. But if you happen to just listen to the podcast, check out the site. Obviously, mspoweruser.com has been around forever. A few different names. Been a very strong and definitely growing force. A source and a force in the Microsoft news area. So here's a shout out to Sarer for all he's doing for the community and for letting us blab a little bit.
Yep. It's just thank you to everyone involved. If I'm going to go down the list of some of the people, I'm just going to start naming those involved here with the site, because a big end of year thank you to Sarer, Mahidi, Michael, Pradeep, Greg, Vernon, Lucas, and oh boy, I there's times where I look at the list and it's like there's someone who hasn't really been involved for years and they come back, and I think it's been a while since that happened. So because it is 12:18 a.m., my voice is ready to give out. So just thank you to anyone who has worked for us in the past too.
Yes, thank you, listeners, for listening. You can follow the site on Twitter at mspoweruser. And, of course, by doing so, you'll see when the new episode is out. But we try to publish this. I don't do any work on that, so thankfully. But get this published every Friday morning, and that is pretty consistent. Andy, you and Mahidi have been pretty awesome with that. Very consistent, actually. And
yep, I get the article, and Mahidi handles the publishing.
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter if you'd like at Vernon EL. You can follow Andy on Twitter at FusionFan45. And that is it. That is the end of the year for MS Power User Podcast.
Just one more shout out before we go, because I forgot. Just a shout out to Chris for that time when we had a couple of video issues.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's it. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
And a happy new year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.